Melina.
I will take back what is mine.
Not so long as I live.
In our last video, we were able to discover the beginning of a new age for Native Americans in gaming. However, will this fresh and new approach be a trend for games to pick up on? First, let's discuss what I mean when I say Native American. Most people assume that this title applies only to the nomadic tribes of North America. There's nothing wrong with this outlook, but we have to remember that the Americas consist of much more than the United States and Canada. Furthermore, we also need to remember that Native Americans did not just live nomadically. Completely independent from European influence, they too would establish city-states, villages, and even fully developed empires. For this discussion, let's focus on the city-states and empires of Mesoamerica. Enter Kotal Kahn, Mortal Kombat X's newest approach at a character of this type. Although the Mortal Kombat universe had always attempted to have fully fleshed out character and story histories, we have to admit that they had always fallen short of impressive. However, this all had seemed to take a great turn for the better by the release of Mortal Kombat X. Ed Boon and his creative team had not only redefined the existing stories of each character, but they had also created new characters with relatable and charismatic behaviors. Kotal Kahn is a part of this new wave of characters for the franchise, and I have to admit, I truly love his personality and motivation. What makes Mortal Kombat X unique is that in order to get the true meat and bones of each character's story and motivation, you'll need to read the comic series that prologues the game. If you haven't noticed by now, I'm a complete sucker for story design and character traits in gaming universes, so when it was announced that Mortal Kombat was going to have exactly that implemented into its universe through a series of comics, I jumped right on it. I was mainly excited for Kotal Kahn's story as well. When I first saw his design and limited gameplay elements, I was anxious to learn more about him. What makes Kotal Kahn unique from most Amerindian-based characters is that he clearly originates from the Imperial Mesoamerican region. Game designers typically base these types of characters on the nomadic tribes of the north. I know Kotal Kahn isn't the first to be based on this region of pre-Columbian America, but he is still a product of a design choice that isn't too common. So what is it that made the Native Americans from the north and the Native Americans from the south as different as they had come to be? It is more than just a matter of identifying who was nomadic and who was imperial. Their personalities and beliefs would strictly change from each region, and Kotal Kahn embodies the personality of the Mesoamerican region rather well. We have to keep in mind that Mesoamerica practiced the game of empire. Today, these empires, like that of the Incan and the Mexica Empire, have been romanticized. Indeed, it is true that their treatment by the Spanish was a true crime against humanity and led to a genocide that belittles the infamous Holocaust of World War II, but they were still empires in its very nature. This means that they ruled and conquered land and people through means of war, violence, and intimidation. However, they still provided protection for their subjects and kept alive a great pride in their rule and tradition. In the comics, Kotal Kahn embodies this personality extremely well. According to his story, after the death of Shao Kahn, Melina gained control of Outworld as his heir. However, she would soon lead Outworld into chaos, and being a clone and not a true offspring of Shao Kahn, Kotal Kahn had organized and executed a civil war that would eventually, in its wake, overthrow Melina and grant Kotal Kahn the throne. Since then, Kotal Kahn has ruled Outworld with a passion, not just for the power he has gained in becoming Khan of Outworld, but for the importance of his home, Outworld itself. Kotal Kahn has a passion and pride in his home, and rules it with an iron fist, not because he is power hungry, but because he is proud of Outworld and the example Shao Kahn left in his effective rule. Pride and culture for these civilizations can be closely related to how the Nahua responded to the Spanish conquest. The Nahua chose death after their defeat by Cortez, so that their traditions can be maintained. Kotal Kahn too will fight to the death for his traditions and pride of Outworld, a very small but extremely crucial detail when concerning Mesoamerican Native Americans. Kotal Kahn seems to identify heavily with the Mayan city-states and the Mexica Empire. The name of his people, Aztec, is an obvious play on the word Aztec, but his story inserts a direct connection with the Mayan people. In this sense, his story sort of alters history, so it's not exactly accurate. With Shao Kahn's empire expanding, the defeat of the Aztec was imminent. However, the ruler of the Aztec, Kotal Kahn, surrendered to Shao Kahn. This greatly displeases Kotal Kahn, as he felt his father sacrificed their dignity. After an argument with his father over the issue, Kotal Kahn sends Kotal Kahn on a journey to Earthrealm, where he comes across a band of Mayan-speaking peoples. In the wake of the Spanish invasion, Kotal Kahn not only teaches these people how to defeat them, but how to defeat them in the Aztec way. We are exposed to another aspect of Mayan and Nahua tradition, the importance of blood. We need to understand something when concerning this. The Maya and Nahua were dualistic. What this means is that they looked at life with a sort of yin and yang take on reality. This means that life and death, let live and murder, good and evil were praised equally. Think of it like this. If Christians were dualistic in the way that the Maya and Nahua were, they would have a church to praise God and a church to praise Satan as well. This didn't mean that they glorified evil. What it meant was that they respected it, because good simply cannot exist without it. So to the Western mentality, the offering of blood and sacrifice may be seen as terrible and backwards, but to the Maya and Nahua, it was beautiful. For in death, life could start anew. Sacrifices could be more than just a celebration of life, however. It was also used to please gods and maintain the order of the universe. With this in mind, it should make more sense as to why Kotal Kahn utters,
Sacrifice honesty.
According to this comic, Kotal Kahn taught them this mentality, and in honor of his teachings, they would eventually identify him as Bullock, the Mayan god of war. I won't spoil how this origin story ends for those who have yet to read it. I'm only trying to make the point that the story writers of Kotal Kahn's origin were not fucking around. NetherRealm truly did their homework when it came to Kotal Kahn's design. There is one similarity of the Northern Native American and Mesoamerican attire. That is the importance of feathers. Kotal Kahn's headpiece shows a sign of more than royalty, a sign of godly exception by the Mayan people. The greater amount of feathers you had worn, the greater your importance. Kotal Kahn's heavy use of feathers implies his importance to the Mayan people. His weapon of choice is a familiar and clear reference to the civilizations of Mesoamerica. It was popular due to the strength of the obsidian rocks that were embedded into it, and for the weight of the thick wood that added to the impact of each blow. It should make sense now as to why Kotal Kahn's War God variant consists of many slow and heavy damaging hits. All his variants consist of a blood offering and sun healing features. This is a direct reference to the close relationship that the Mesoamerican people made between the two, as the sun was a symbol for life and blood was needed to appease it. There's a lot to consider when bringing these elements to character, as the Mesoamerican culture was quite complex due to its developmental stage. Kotal Kahn isn't a direct recreation of Mesoamerican characteristics, but he isn't supposed to be. I think what makes him unique is that he is still faithful to his influence despite this fact. In his alternate history, he gives reason to many aspects of Mesoamerican religion, culture, and development. Where Thunder was accurate for completely embodying the true meaning of Native Americans in the North, Kotal Kahn is accurate for his faithful interpretations of true elements of history. However, he is still a take on an alternative aspect of history, so he isn't 100% accurate. For this, I have to give him an 8 out of 10 in the historical aspect. But when you consider his cultural and personality traits and how greatly they relate to the true personality and cultural traits of pre-Columbian Mesoamerica, Kotal Kahn is definitely a 10 out of 10. All this talk of faithful Mesoamerican representation leaves you to wonder, had the Andean empires seen this sort of respect in gaming? I'm sure if you look hard enough, you'll find it in the most unlikely of places.